That was quite an experience in Iraq. When we came in the dark of the night. They put us on Apache helicopters, and we went out to the whatever zone it was. It's supposed to be the most hottest zone in there, you know, and that can be told by the way everybody was out there hiding out in camouflage and putting themselves together. And they put us in some sand dunes that they had built up as bulletproof walls made out of sand, and they just go up and put sides around them or a hole to contain the sand. And they gave us about an hour and a half to get ready to make another transfer to go to another place, which was where we just ended up in the fight. But you had little cots that you could sleep on, or you could get out there on the ground and sleep. And we went on a 48-hour excursion of not being able to do anything but what the troops would do. And you eat out of a box. I told them to take me to Bravo Johnny's, but they couldn't make it. Yeah, New York Italian restaurant. But we enjoyed it, and we was there with them, so we stayed up for an hour and a half, and then we got on them helicopters, and they took us into this war zone that we were just at, the war horse or whatever it is that they call it. And there we met the troops that they had been gathered, and we had the two-way television coming in from Los Angeles. It was remarkable, but to get an opportunity to talk to those young men and women and to find out what they thought about coming home, being there to fight, and I think it was self-evident that they really demonstrated a different type of courage from those who are not in harm's way, that the debaters and discussioners about what is this and what is that. Young guys there, young women, and they all was out there, and a lot of the women now is in command position. It was an extraordinary affair, and to know that they looked at General Petraeus, he enacted a new plan called the Surge, in which he put in thousands of troops that go in and go out and search out for ret and fight. And what he had done is we had reduced the violence from combat, hand-to-hand combat and confrontational combat, to virtually, nil. And now the only thing they have to fight with is the IEDs, which is the things that they plant in bombs and of that sort. And all of these soldiers, they want to stay right there and fight and stay there until they win it, because they say this is what it's all about, fighting for freedom. And the echo of that type of thought is really what makes America so great, is because those people that started from 1776, and if you find a government that is not right for you, it's your duty and obligation to abolish that government and to put in one that will have more meaning, that will be more concerned about the people that it represents. Thus, we establish a government in America that will be governed by the consent of the governed. Now, in President George Walker Bush, inimitable wisdom, he's in it to win it. He can't give in, he can't give up, and he can't quit. And so what he did is to try to get Iraqi freedom, which is the program that they have over there, to be able to free them people and go into a democratic process. And that is what's taking place. But General Petraeus used inclusion. And inclusion is the word what bringing all these diverse entities together to sit down at the same table, to exchange ideas and to work with one another and to co-opt a situation where they would then be fighting against the Al-Qaedas and the different opposition groups that were the terrorists. And as we know, terrorism anywhere is a threat to freedom everywhere. And so he's been very, very successful at doing this, just as the soldiers that I met at Lamstool who were the wounded. Many of them, we knew couldn't go back, but they all had the same mindset. We want to go back with our troops. We want to go back with our company. And the ones that could, they definitely was going to go back and be redeployed in another tour. I thought this was simply remarkable, because I know the parents and the people of America want to see them come home, but they also have to realize that in America, what keeps America strong and great is the profound statements that we have announced and pronounced throughout the years and the acts that we did. in World War II and sending the doughboys and making songs over there, you know, and it won't be over till it's over there, and going out to defend freedom and democracy, and to be able to go out and to now try to help the Iraqis. Once you're in it, you can't get out of it. And so you got people that you can call on, like Abraham Lincoln in the Gettysburg Address. He says that the men, that they come to consecrate some ground, and he say, but they have consecrated, they have dedicated their lives that's far beyond anything that we could dedicate. He says, so we must, as the living, remember the job that has to be done, to work toward that job that has to be done, and seeing those who lived and those who died paying the supreme sacrifice, you know what I mean, so that our nation would live. Those things is associated throughout the world, whether they like us or not, and even the most vicious opposition and critics, they have to realize, and they do realize and respect America, but if America cuts and run, it's going to be damage that will be done to your children, your unborn children, that will come, because that's the last vestige that we hold in the world. It's not big as like it used to be. You know, now the emerging nations is coming around, and there's a big change in whatever is going on, and our dollar is being beat down to 2-to-1 with the pound, $1.50 with the euro. So everybody now is moving that way, and you know, all of this is affecting everything, and we can't be seen as cut and shoot type of guys that would run off and leave when the heat, as Harry Truman would say, when the heat in the kitchen, if you can't stand it, get out the kitchen. You know, we found ourselves standing there where all these guys that have died, and all the words that I've read and witnessed throughout my lifetime is that everyone say we highly resolve that those who have died have not died in vain. Those who have put themselves in harm's way have not put themselves in harm's way in vain. Well, a lot of Americans have died there, and I think that it would be a betrayal to them as well as to the code that keeps image so vitally important in this great country to the rest of the world, to know that when we are there, we're there. And what we're going to do is to see it through to make it happen. I met with General David Petraeus, and he illustrated what he was doing, but the troops around him, because naturally if you're with the general, ain't nobody going to say nothing contrary to what the general going to say. You know what I mean? We know that from playing in the street. You know what I mean? So you got to get the guy in the corner, you know, when ain't nobody there, and you sit down and you talk to him, and then you can get sort of talk about his mother, talk about his sister and his brother, and then he will then open up and start talking about how he missed them and what he wanted to do, and get to the point where you can get it. So then it ain't like it's like it was a laundered type of conversation, you know what I mean? You're just going to get it out. It's going to be clean, you know what I mean, whatever you have to do. And we found that there was just a remarkable situation of everybody who was dedicated and committed to being there. They took us from that base after this fight was over, and those guys were exhilarated, the men and women there. They were just really thankful, and they were really impressed, gracious, happy, because they look at President George Walker Bush as a strong advocate of the military. I mean, they can say what they want back here in America, but those guys that are putting their lives on the line and losing them, and they look at him like, you know, a knight in shining armor, because he is a guy that has the intestinal fortitude to stand up in spite of the critics, whatever they say or don't say, and continue to persevere in spite of with his plan. I said down there, I said here, God must have touched him and intervened divinely to get him to a point, a guy like General David Petraeus, who has really commanded the respect of all. Many people in the world may not like George Walker Bush, and many people that love him. But the ones that love him, you know, and the ones that don't like him and want to be able to the enemies fear him. Let me put it this way. The enemies fear him, his friends love him, but collectively they all respect him. And that's what you need out there in that field, when you're in that universe where, you know, bombs and bullets and dynamite and everything is out there going against you. So that part, he got credibility. He will do whatever is necessary